We stayed in a standard water level cabin on a Viking Nile River cruise ship in Egypt. And I was not really sure about this cabin. I normally like to book a cabin that has a much larger view, perhaps floor-to-ceiling windows or a balcony, and I looked at the deck plans and I was a little concerned about staying there. But when I booked this cruise, that was the last cabin category left, and I really wanted to go. The dates were perfect, the timing was great, the weather would be wonderful in November, so we said, let's try it. I mean, how often would we be in the cabin anyway? So I'm going to tell you a little about the room, some of the pros and cons of booking that particular room, things that we learned along the way. I'll show you around, so come along. The standard cabins are on deck 1. When we boarded the ship, we headed down the stairs to try to find our cabin. However, there is an elevator if you need one. Just be advised, the elevator only goes up to the 3rd floor. It doesn't go all the way up to the topmost deck. The topmost deck is only accessible by stairs. First, I was concerned by the deck plans. As a habit, I try to avoid cabins next to unknown mystery space. You never know what's next door. As it turns out, this is a crew area, and once as the door opened and I saw someone go through, it looked like there were just entrances to individual crew cabins along the side. We never heard anything beside us from that crew area. The other concerning thing about the deck plan, it shows that our room is right under the reception area, and I wondered, would I hear a lot of people walking above us? It's right where the door is to go to the outside, and the gangplank is right there, and I wondered if that ramp was going to make a lot of noise coming and going from the ship. We didn't really hear any noise anytime. It was never a bad thing. We were never awakened by gangplank placement or people walking above us. We did hear sloshing noises from the water since we were at water level, but it was kind of a lulling noise. It wasn't anything that irritated me, and it wasn't that often or we got used to it. But it was nothing that a little sound machine or a fan or something wouldn't take care of if you are sensitive to extra noises at night. We did not have floor-to-ceiling windows like we would have in a French balcony or in a regular balcony, but the window height was good. I'm 5'3", and I could stand at the window and be comfortable looking at the view. I could even actually sit on the side of the bed and see the view from there, leaning up against the headboard. But those views were not nearly as nice as my favorite hangout spot on the ship in one of the public areas. When we docked, we often were facing the water side. In fact, that's where we were on the day we embarked, facing the Nile River. So we got a beautiful view of that area. But every now and then we would dock on the side of the land. And this is kind of the view I got when we were docked landside. Today we're docked right by the dock. So you can tell that if anyone's walking around there on that sidewalk, or like those guys that are just sitting under the tree, they're able to see into the rooms. So you'd want to make sure you are dressed appropriately when you open the curtains. Now, without fail, anytime I go on a cruise, I always do a walkthrough of the cabin, and do a video of it and show people around to see what all the cabin is like. And I did that, but it was a little fail. I don't know where that video went. Something happened to it. I have a couple of little clips, but mostly I'm going to have to rely on some still photos. Some that I took, some that I got off the website, but I can explain what you're seeing by using those and having a little bit of commentary in the background. When entering the room, the bathroom is immediately on the left. They have Freya shampoo, conditioner, body wash, and lotion in bottles, and bar soap by the sink. There are 2 shelves and 2 drawers. There's a separate thermostat for the bathroom. It was recommended that we drink bottled water, even using it when we brushed our teeth. They said it probably wouldn't be bad, but the ship uses reverse osmosis for the water they get out of the Nile. And when they use that process, they take all of the minerals out of the water. So that's a little hard on your stomach. So we just did bottled water, and they always had a couple of bottles of water in the bathroom for us to use for that purpose. The shower has a glass door, a movable shower head and 2 corner shelves, as well as a ledge for your bath products, and there's a retractable clothesline. The door handle is a circular cutout. The toilet is beside the shower and has a hand sprayer beside it. Straight ahead is the window. These windows are taller than the ones on the European longships. The room has a 2-seater sofa. It's comfortable, and the sofa table is padded and doubles as a footrest. The nightstands have a pull-out tabletop extension and 2 drawers. Across from the sofa is a desk area with a chair. There's an ice bucket and 2 glasses. Flat screen TV mounted, remote, a notepad and a pen, a complimentary tote bag, and the Quiet Vox system. Here I am in the room looking a little more lived in. I'm modeling the tote bag I bought from a street vendor. Viking had a couple of bottled waters waiting for us on the desk, and they were replaced as needed. There are 9 drawers behind me in that desk area and a decent-sized garbage can. And it's amazing how many cruise ships have tiny little garbage cans. So this was nice to have a decent size, especially with the size of the tall water bottles we had. To the right, even more storage, then 3 drawers. This bottom cabinet is the refrigerator. 1 tall bottle will fit in there. They've niftily cut out the shelf to make it fit. And I have stuck an orange drink in there. And notice the light switches. I didn't notice this upon first look, but we have a USB-A and a USB-C outlet here on both sides of the bed. There are 2 sliding closet doors with hanging space and wooden hangers and shelves and the safe. I found the hairdryer in there. They also had an umbrella, not for rain, but if you wanted to take it out to help protect from the sun, you certainly could borrow that. We would always sit here when drying our hair, as this was the best outlet mirror for that purpose. The hairdryer used the European outlet. I packed this extension outlet. It plugs into the regular US outlet, but it gives me 3 USB-A and 3 USB-C plugs. Very handy for charging all of our devices. I also packed a little fan. This is the one I use. Just got it off of Amazon. It has a USB-C plug that you can either put into a brick or plug into those USB outlets too. Those are 2 essentials that I always pack with me. And of course, an adapter. You need an adapter, especially in Cairo, because they won't have any US plugs in the hotels in Cairo. And then of course, when you're on the ship, if you want to use the other plugs to use your US outlet, you can put the adapter in that. One item that I did not need on the Nile River cruise ship were my magnetic hooks, because on regular ocean cruising, all the walls are magnetic and you can put those hooks for hanging things, but that is not the case on the river cruise ship, so just leave those magnet hooks at home. So, what did I think of my cabin? I loved it. Now, of course, I would have loved a veranda. I would have enjoyed having those nice big views, but the veranda room doesn't have a 2-seater love seat, and we did enjoy having that extra seating space. Has a nice comfy chair with a footrest, but not something that 2 people could sit in very comfortably. And bathrooms are the same size, whether you're in the veranda stateroom or if you're in a standard stateroom. And while the verandas are more convenient to the public spaces, I did not find using the stairs to be that bad, and if I had already done 12,000 steps on the tour, I could always take the elevator down. So there it is in a nutshell. This is Shirley with Shirley's Journeys, and I hope all of your journeys are pleasant ones.